Hi, welcome back to the second part where we're going to look forward to our big game against the Saints at the Aviva. Boys, we have a bit of an injury crisis at the moment. Three of our out halves are injured,
Leinster in crisis.
and our current incumbent is a very young fella with only 5 Leinster matches under his belt.
And he's the only fit out
Yeah,
half
well-
available. Well, Jimmy O'Brien, who's in year one of the academy, is set aside. I mean, we've had a couple of questions in. Darren Mulligan asks, with Carberry possibly needing surgery and Sexton's ongoing issues, that just leaves Ross Byrne. Should we look for a temporary out half? And we also had a question from Mark Hearn. Any word on what's happening with Johnny? Is it just his hamstring, or do you think it's more than that? And then Mick Hennessy asks, any chance of a medical joker at out half, and who's available? Well, here's the thing. We record this on a Tuesday. It's Tuesday evening.
We might have a medical joker boy.
We might, by the time this goes on,
I doubt
there might
it.
be a medical joker signed. But the thing is, any changes to the squad have to be registered by noon today. So this
Yeah.
is Tuesday, so noon today. So you're watching this on Thursday. It was noon 2 days ago. So you'll know more than we do by the time you watch this.
The thing about it is this.
In theory, I think we should, but only if the right player was out there. We should. I mean, there's no need to go out and panic buy someone. Just sit on the bench.
Yeah, I don't know.
If
I
the right
think
guy was out there, yes.
here's what it depends on, right? It depends on, and the medical team and the coaches will know this. If Johnny Sexton is, as Leo Cullen said in the press the other day, possibly going to be available for Munster, what have we got? We've got Ross Byrne for one match. Now, the match we have coming this week, I believe that we have the pack that if we have to keep it in the forwards and grind out a 6-5 victory, we can do that. Like we could win this game without an out half. So I would think that Isa Nasi was sitting on the bench. Well, okay, without an out half was a bit strong, but
Why are you saying things like this? You're inviting the mocker gods
Disasters.
down upon us.
Affect
Do you
them.
not remember the last time we had a double header
Affect them.
against Saints?
I do. But I just believe that Isa Nasewa stepping into out half would not be the end of the world. He got a lot of stick in 2008, but let's count the years since then that he now is so embedded in Leinster rugby and they're
Athletes generally get better after years of
not playing the
Yeah.
position.
Yeah.
Did play scrum half though earlier on
Yeah.
this season.
Exactly.
played pretty well.
Well, maybe we stick Jefferson Gibson Park into out half.
Well, look,
Isa into scrum
the
half.
guy played no scrum half, and he can step in and do that. The guy's brain is so
I mean, no,
good
I mean, he is-
these days that
But
as a
but
backup
here's-
out half coming on, okay, if your
We
man
don't-
drops in the first 5 minutes, I'd be worried. But
we don't have the amount of information that the coaches have. So obviously we're speaking to a certain extent from a position of ignorance.
in the dark,
But
nothing new there. Then
oh
Dave.
no, nothing new says our viewer. But we're talking about a 6-week period. In that 6-week period, we have 3 European matches and 2 interpros.
Yeah,
That's some serious season-defining
Of course.
time. So obviously, one has to trust the coaches that they know what's going on. So whether a guy will be signed or not, and the other side of that is, even if they do decide that we need an out half or we need a replacement out half or a joker, right? If the right guy isn't out there, there's no point signing some Eddie Hekanui guy off the street if you can't get the right guy.
well, I don't think that's really a problem because it's off season in the southern hemisphere. There's bound to be guys sitting around on their patio. They might not be the fittest guys in the world, but
Stand right.
but as I say,
Pretty short notice though.
well,
They
it is,
only
of
found out
course.
on Friday night that Carberry's
Carberry's
in. That Carberry's out. They probably didn't even know until Saturday.
There could have been
The
frantic
prognosis
phone
was-
calls going on. But the thing about it is, if Sexton is not going to be around for, as you mentioned, a 6-week period.
Is that true though?
No, I'm talking about the 60 period. 60 period appeals applies to Carberry. Apparently, he could. We see, this is the thing. Like I said, we're speaking
Well-
from a position of ignorance, but he could be out for a 6-week period. Is how it's been reported.
So the point I'm making is that the 6 weeks that are following, in other words, taking us up to the Six Nations, if they know for a fact that Sexton is A, going to be injured for a lot of that, or B, going to be rested by the RFU for a lot of that, then that's one scenario, and in that scenario you have to get somebody from somewhere. However, if we know that he's coming back, if Leo and the boys know that he's coming back for Munster or maybe even the game after that, it's not such a big panic. We can we've 2 games, we can stumble through them without with somebody
See,
like
that-
Isa. on
this
the
is
bench.
a-
Like
this
you
is
say,
a pretty-
it is imperfect
this-
information. So
But
it's hard
this,
to know.
like the match against Northampton on Saturday, is going to be probably the season-defining game because we lose this game, it puts us back,
To square one in
back to
Europe.
square one in
Yeah.
Europe. the Pro 12 is the Pro 12. You know what I mean? Like,
It is what it is.
it is what it is.
It's
but
also
it's-
a long competition that you can afford.
Yeah,
to.
exactly.
You,
like,
you,
and
have,
we're-
you have an opportunity to make up for
and
games.
you know,
Yeah.
you just have to be in the top 6 to qualify for Europe next year, or the top 4 to get into the playoffs. So, and we're sitting joint first on 37 points. But it's this, like, if we lose against Saints and we don't get a bonus point out of it, so you're going to need. I don't know what way they're going to do it. Whether they're going to just, as you said, for this game, stick Issa as the reserve out half. But if I was Saints, do you know what I'd be doing? I'd be going out
Targeting 10.
big time.
The only,
But
the only
it's-
problem is Dylan Hartley and Callum Clark are still banned.
Colin Clark isn't.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
there you go.
Well, but the,
Where are
in,
your
sa-
body
in, saying
armour,
that,
Ross?
in saying that, there's very few professional teams will go out without targeting their out half.
That's true. And, you know, we have Robbie Henshaw beside him to knock a few lumps out of whoever's trying to. And we have, you know, he can take ball off, and we have a serious back row that can mind. And we've, you know.
The other thing is, and I said it before about Joey Carberry, and I say it, and it's often forgotten about Johnny Sexton as well. Ross Byrne's a big lad.
Very
He's a
big.
big lad, yeah.
He's a big lad who's been developed
Johnny
through
Sexton sized.
playing against English National One clubs who are not adverse to giving an out half and that slap around the head themselves. So he's. My problem isn't the quality of the guy; it's just the number of bodies.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all.
Well, like
I just
said,
think, but I thought we needed. I said it at the beginning of the season. I thought we needed a 10/12, just to have around the place at the beginning of the season, and I don't think that's changed.
Well, I do, like before out half. The other thing that hasn't been factored in is Carl Marsh is only a couple of weeks away as well. Okay, Carl Marsh is not Dan Carter. We've all noticed that. But, you know, he's a guy who can get you through games, from the bench. No problem.
A couple of weeks away with Leinster means that he could be available for the start of next season. You know what they're like.
I don't get the impression that he's going to be in a long time. Also, we've Noel Reid, who got injured in the last game. I haven't heard a single update on him, medical or otherwise. He could be sitting there ready to go. He could be,
He was at the school's cup draw.
Well, there you go. He's a 12 these days, but he did play 10 until one sad day in Easter,
Good Friday.
Good Friday in the RDS in the B&I Cup when he had a bit of a shocker. And I don't think I've seen him at 10 since. But the guy could still step in
He's a very good
in a
footballer.
crisis. And he's learned so much since then. I think between him and Issa, if he was fit, between him and Issa, we'd be all right for a bench out half. And yeah, it's a gamble, but hey, everything's a bloody gamble.
Well, it's just going back to Dave's point. I presume paying quite a substantial amount of wedge to Kirshner in a position that we don't really need him because we've got homegrown fellas developing this season.
Yeah.
At the cost, perhaps, of not having a backup. Now, as it turned out, I mean, we've got a very fluky set of circumstances that the Irish international 10 is injured, the third choice Irish international 10 is injured, and our second stroke third stroke fourth slash not international obviously, but choice Leinster out half is injured, and then you're down to the fourth guy who played in the academy last year. Is those set of circumstances are quite rare. So Leinster have a very tricky
A bad
balancing
run of it.
act to
Yeah.
try, because if you got in somebody to say, oh yeah, but you know what, we want to develop an Irish qualified out half and bring through other guys, but we want somebody of a high quality to also be on the team. Where's he going to go? What's he going to do? Is he going to just continue playing for Clontarf or
Well,
Bective?
a couple of things. One, you've got to get a guy signed for 3 months, or else he's not eligible for Europe. Okay, so whoever you get in, you have to give him a 3-month contract. Anybody from the Southern Hemisphere will be starting to play Super Rugby again before that.
They won't be signing a super rugby
ITM
quality.
Cup, whatever the hell. Okay,
They won't.
I'm not saying they would. The other thing is Kirshner. Kirshner, I think, originally was signed before Joe Schmidt left, was he?
Joe Schmidt signed him, Matt O'Connor re-signed him.
And I was about to say Matt O'Connor re-signed him. He got a 2-year deal, so it would have been this time 2 years ago he was sitting down signing his contract with Matt O'Connor. So, given the resources we have now, if he'd have got a 1-year deal, I don't think we would have renewed him. Not because he's good or bad or indifferent, but just because we wouldn't have needed him.
And his age profile.
And his age profile, exactly. So, he's undoubtedly gone at the end of the season just because we've got guys coming through that we won't need his experience, if you like. So yeah, we have. It'd be nice if we could turn him into a 10, wouldn't it? Wave a magic wand and turn him into Dan Carter Light. But
What's
unfortunately,
Johnny Wilkinson doing these days?
he could probably still do it.
Yeah, he could.
Fit as
Well, all he has to do is sit on the bench for 2 games.
Bring back David Howell again. But anyway, yeah. So that's the only issue. I mean, in terms of selection of the actual team itself, I mean,
Rob Carney went off.
yeah.
I think he's all right.
Is he? Yeah.
Third,
Well, that's good to know. O'Brien, apparently, his injury was...
He's
Well,
okay too.
this is sort of one of these
Urban myths.
little chestnuts, isn't it? Like, there was rumours going around Franklin Gardens, he didn't come back on because he failed his HIA. Apparently he didn't fail it, but he suffered from a, inverted commas, sore neck.
I think part of that is, I mean, well, failing in HIA or not failing it, I mean, it's a fairly binary thing. This commentators on BT Sports said he failed it. All the Irish media said he passed it. So
It's one or the other. One of them is wrong.
yeah, one of them's wrong. My money's on BT Sport, to be honest with you.
Who knows? But the thing about it is, he's fit to go this week, they say. So I generally think we have them in the pack, even with that Callum Clark chap coming back to see if he can get a ban. Like his captain.
I think I mean, Triggs did okay, but I don't think he imposed himself enough. I think maybe McCarthy or
Well, we have options.
we have a lot of
There's
options.
one place we have options.
I'd like to see McCarthy or Carney or Nagel play there.
Any of the 3 of them would be
Yeah.
fine for me. And Ross Maloney, just we're tripping over second rows for a change.
Because I think I'd certainly raise my eyebrows that he was picked.
Yeah.
I know he was,
It was strategic.
yeah, and he was fairly prominent in that try.
The previous week.
The previous
Yeah.
week. So
Yeah.
maybe, I'm not sure if it was warranted on his performance in that game or whether it was because of the type of player that he is.
I think a lot of it was 2 tall timbers in the second row. He's 6'7", and none of the other players we have are over 6'4". Well, Nagel is 6'7" as well.
Yeah.
So it's him or Nagel if you want tall timber. So yeah, maybe they'll swap him for Nagel if that's the game they're going for again this week. But it looked to me like they changed their game plan at half time. They tweaked things a little because of the way the game was going. So who knows what game plan will come out with this week? But see, I don't think they're going to be complacent. All the stuff in the press is that guys coming out, Sean Cronin coming out saying, "Oh, we remember 3 years ago."
Hopefully they've
Reece
learned their
Ruddock,
lesson.
we remember 3 years ago. Like the only thing we can
I
do
don't
wrong
think we
is
were
come out
complacent 3 years
complacent.
ago. Northampton,
Stepped up their game.
they did. And okay, like, if you were playing a game of cards and somebody took all your money on one weekend, and you're not going to come back to the card
Go
table.
chasing your money.
Especially if fundamentally you're a very good card player. Which, I mean, fundamentally that Northampton team was full of very good rugby players.
There's
Right?
a few in there, alright.
They mightn't have played well the first day, but the second day, I mean, George North came out and he was absolutely superb. He was almost unplayable.
Well, is he playable this week?
And that's the question. He should be available, I
if,
think.
If you remember the incident, we were attacking their line with 2 minutes to go. I'm not saying we would have scored, but we were 3 meters from
We'd
their
overlap
line.
with 3 on 1.
And Jamie happened to fumble the ball and it got
Yeah.
turned over and they scored in the corner to deny us a bonus point, to deny us a home quarter final. So things could have been very, very different 3 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
Matt
I mean-
O'Connor might be still here.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't the disaster. It appeared to be in some circumstances because we did. I mean, obviously losing at home is never good, but we didn't get wiped out of it.
But it meant, though, Dave, that we
Oh,
went
no.
We had to
too
go
long.
too long.
Yeah. Oh no. What I'm saying
Yeah.
is, I mean,
You gotta
in
get
term-
trip out of
the
it.
match itself, the performance itself, the difference between the first day and the second day, it wasn't a complete turnover.
No.
Now, again, like I always say about, I mean, Wasps will come or not Wasps, Saints will come over, looking to restore some pride. Now, whether that means for them in the position they're in, with the disparity between what is happening on the pitch and what appears to be happening in the stand with their coaches and their supporters, whether restoring some pride means not getting hockeyed, or restoring some pride means going out to actually say, we're going to win.
Well,
It's very hard to say.
Well, the good thing about it for us is we only need 4 points. Like we can fall over the line for a 6-5 victory, and that's absolutely fine. We don't need to juggle fire, cure cancer.
We don't need a
None of
bonus
that
point,
stuff.
and we don't need to prevent them getting one.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if they get a losing bonus point. It doesn't matter if we don't score 4 tries. Be nice to do those
Both.
things, but because they're gone out of the thing if they lose. And we also, obviously, on head-to-head, if we ever did by some miracle end up on the same points as them, you know, we
9-1.
we just need the win. That's it. So, in those circumstances, I wouldn't be like where you can lose out in these games is if you're going for everything. You're going for winning your 4 tries, and you need to get bonus points because, say, Montpellier are way ahead, you know, but they're not. They're a point behind us, and they're away this weekend. So, I think
The mistake you can often make is trying to get your bonus point, your try bonus point,
too
before you win
early.
the game.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I
get in
think
the
we're just
78th
gonna
minute
have to-
like we did.
Yeah,
Be
that-
conservative.
You don't get special extra bonus
No.
points for getting it early or scoring.
But
you know,
the one thing that it will have given that big game, you know, there was 15,000 in Franklin's Gardens. It was a fairly the stands are quite close to the pitch. It was
It's a great
great
ground.
atmosphere. Yeah, and what it'll do is there was a lot of very inexperienced fellas, you know, that were used to playing in Donnybrook in front of, you know, a couple of hundred people for a B&I Cup match, and all of a sudden they're chucked into the
cauldron
The
that is
cauldron.
Franklin's Gardens.
But you know, it's going to give them good experience. So it's not just that they're going into a big, maybe 40,000 plus crowd in the Aviva without having that experience of a hostile enough crowd over in Northampton. You know,
firstly, it has to be said. What fair play to Perry and indeed the rest of the Leicester supporters. I didn't go over, but support over there was superb.
it was.
I thought
Really,
we
really
sang
good.
well. I have
Yeah,
to
I
say,
thought it
from
came
minute
over,
one.
came across well on certainly on the television. So fair play to the supporters and the supporters club, etc. But that's great for a team when you're away from home and you get that, and you can hear your song being heard.
Yeah.
Because it means that you've not shut up, but you've silenced the opposition crowd.
But
Well, most of them came up afterwards and said, you know, that was an amazing bit of support and fair play to you. And,
But like,
you know,
I've
Must
been
be
over to
Northampton,
most of the
yeah.
Premiership grounds. Certainly all the ones that Leinster have played in European matches. And the one thing I'm always struck by is the age profile of the people who go to the English matches. It's a much older crowd. There doesn't seem to be as many dads or families and
Yeah.
young kids. And maybe, admittedly, now the match was on late on a Friday evening, so it didn't.
It's a pattern that repeats.
But it
itself
is. I mean,
across-
I've been to matches in Bath on Saturday afternoons, Sunday afternoons, and there's no gaggle of kids going along as there is at Leinster or Munster or Ulster or Connacht matches. It seems to be a much older crowd. Maybe the younger kids go and are playing, or they're going to football
what the
matches.
football.
But there's certainly I noticed that, and one thing that I loved about it was the amount of people that were leaving. And the lad I was with was saying, "God, isn't it terrible that they're leaving?" I said, "I think that we should take that as a compliment that they are sickened that their team,
There to watch
team has been
anymore.
stuffed."
Yeah. No, I agree. No, the support was brilliant, and but hopefully that'll transmit back here to a good crowd in the Aviva Stadium.
Well, we
Supposed to
set
be.
down a good marker on how to shout anyway.
Yeah.
So
It's supposed to be good.
hopefully-
It's supposed to be selling well, so hopefully it'll be. a
But
good
you know
crowd.
yourself, like when people do go away from home, that they,
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of
it's
lose,
always-
they lose
yeah.
a bit of
Inhibitions.
They're also the harder core fans that travel.
Yeah,
as well,
but
obviously.
I have no doubt that there's going to be a big clatter of Northampton
Henrys.
fans,
Yeah.
and who well, I don't think that there are Ray Henrys in Northampton.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about.
No, no.
Yeah, you said
No,
it's
but
that-
I-
yeah,
I
I'm
do-
going to address that point myself.
I do think there's going to be a big chunk of Saints fans
Oh, there will be.
coming over.
English fans love coming over to Ireland, whether it's Dublin, whether it's Limerick, Galway, Belfast, whatever. They love coming over because it's a tradition going back to when English fans came over to follow England every second year. It was always the big trip. It was always the one that they look forward to the most. No, I think what John was getting at was that this match has become part of the Christmas
Christmas ritual,
entertainment rota in Dublin, and you see tickets there's a lot of tickets going on various Groupon and
How are the
cheap
numbers
tickets
going?
and all
do you
that.
know?
I don't know. I presume. I mean, they'll sell enough. They'll sell plenty of tickets. The thing is, sometimes the atmosphere, it doesn't lead to the greatest atmosphere in these games. People often blame the stadium for the atmosphere. The stadium has nothing to do with the atmosphere. Could you fault the atmosphere at the Australia match, for example,
No,
or the game against the All Blacks?
no.
I mean, it's always to do with the
But
game.
it's what's going on the pitch,
it's
you know.
the pitch. What happens on the pitch defines what happens in the stand. If the game is, you didn't see a Mexican wave at the Australia game, did you? Because what was only in Egypt was there a Mexican wave in a game that tense and that exciting.
Of course, yeah.
Whereas there was one at the Canada game because it was the Canada game. So
Yeah, no, and it's absolutely true. But like, if you look back at some of those Christmas fixtures that Leinster have played in recent seasons, now the first few were absolutely fantastic
Unbelievable.
affairs. We beat Claremont, Bath. Like they were humdingers. Exactly.
Claremont in minus 18 temperatures.
True enough, but those subsequent matches, some of them have let you down a little
Yeah.
bit. Whether it's just a disappointment of losing to Claremont a few years ago, Toulon again, and or Northampton. So people have a little sour taste when you know, it's your Christmas night out and you end up walking away from the match going, "God, we lost."
Yeah.
You know, whereas no, most of the time. But you also have to factor in that last week in the RDS, only 11,000 or 12,000 people turned up. Now, I know that there's more season ticket holders, and if we did play, let's say we played Northampton in the RDS, it would be
Be a full house.
18,500 jam-packed. Of course it would. But you are trying to double your crowd. You know, there's going to be roughly 40,000, maybe hopefully a bit more, in the Aviva next Saturday. You are trying to double your crowd. So there's going to be, you know, interloopers coming along for a day
Yeah,
out.
right bunch of loopers coming along.
Interlopers.
Interlopers, sorry.
Interlopers, that's the right word. No, I agree. I mean,
I think he meant to say that.
there is. I mean, that's an element, and
A lot of loopers that just
the
did their
thing is,
intercert.
If you get say 1,000 people who are coming to a match who wouldn't be regular match goers, and even if 10 of them decide to buy season tickets because they enjoyed the experience and they enjoyed what they saw, that's a win.
Yeah.
You know, because those are 10 people who next year will be paying up front for the entire season, and then there'll be another 10 people who buy season. It
does
loops
spread,
on,
yeah.
and that's how we built the sport. So you know, yes, we want the ground to be heaving full of wildly passionate, rabid fans, and that'd be great. But to a certain extent, you have to. This is a game where traditionally we've had to take a bit of a hit on the atmosphere front, hopefully in return for long-term benefit.
Yeah, but like, you know, it wasn't so long ago that we played in the old Lansdowne Road, and there was 13,000 that, you know, I remember going to watch a match against Sale at Christmas 10 years ago, 11, 12 years ago, and there was 13,000 at it, you know, and there was vast swathes of empty.
Pick your own pen kind of thing.
Yeah. So like it is certainly an opportunity for Leinster to try and put themselves out there and make a few bob from it too.
Yeah, we have one last question on the old social media, and Dara asks, were we impressed with the acting chops of Pascal Pape? Do you think he'll get the nod for an Oscar? Well, he went down quicker than a cheap hooker.
He had been shot by a sniper from the stands, I think. I didn't actually see it till you showed it to me, but it was an amazing bit of acting, and I'm amazed you can't be cited for that post-match.
No, I'd say you can. You can be cited for foul play, and bringing the game or acting in an unsportsmanlike manner is consists of foul play.
They certainly have it in football, so maybe they should think about bringing it in rugby.
It was quite the week for the old the disciplinary committee to be busy this week.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was sending off in the Castres game, which I didn't see. Montpellier Castres game, I don't know what that was about. There was the Hartley one, which I did see. We discussed that in part one. And then there was also James Davies in the Scarlets game, who mouthed something at the referee. And the referee called him over and told him to shut up and not use language like that again. Then, as he was walking back, he made the traditional repeated wrist forward and backwards gesture about the referee to intimate that he enjoyed pleasuring himself.
He was tapping his card on. He was simulating tapping his card for a few drinks in the bar.
He was certainly stimulating something. I don't know if he's stimulating something. He's going to be in a lot of trouble because you can't do stuff like that. So it'll be an interesting game in front of the big. But Pascal Pape deserves. He deserves to be just brought up in front of the panel and then go. Come on. Not even give. Just shame him by going. Come on.
But that used to be the way it was. That if somebody even went down with a proper punch, that you were nearly embarrassed by the fact that you were, you know, that you were knocked down by an opposition, and the guys on your own team would say, "Is that what it took you? That little tap put you down in the
All you
arse."
got.
But it's certainly something that Pascal Pape will have to do. He has form for that kind of thing, though.
6'6" and 22 stone or something like.
And made a marshmallow by the looks of things.
And it was a centre that hit him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like,
A Scottish centre at that.
That's so shameful. Like, that really is.
I mean, since Scott Hastings, Scottish centres have not been renowned for their doughtiness.
No.
You know, they're not exactly reavers down from the Highlands. You know.
well, we just quickly rattle through some of the
Go
other
on,
fixtures.
rattle away.
Right. Well, obviously,
Do you ever rattle on the bus?
Tigers take on Munster, host Munster over in Welford Road. Again, like
Tiger backlash.
similar to our situation.
They might score some points.
Well, they'd want to, seeing as though it's in their own backyard.
Again, we talk about the previous comments. I referred the gentleman to my previous comments about English clubs.
Yep.
And Tigers are the quintessential English club, and Welford Road is the quintessential English ground, and the Tigers crowd are the quintessential English crowd. So
They won't stand for no nonsense.
they won't stand. I mean, the Tigers will have to do their very, very best, otherwise it won't be acceptable. Not sure if that's going to be enough to beat Munster though.
Yeah. One that really does affect us, Cast host Montpellier. So Montpellier won the last round of those matches. So you'd hope.
No bonus points anyway, whoever wins it.
There's the old win your home games, lose your away games in French rugby.
Exactly.
So you wonder, will that be at play here? You wonder how. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't mind if both teams lost.
Yeah, well, a draw will be good. Or failing that, one team to win
I'd prefer
with no
just to
bonus
see
points.
Cast out of it totally. So that when we
Yeah.
get them, we obviously played them in our last match over there, that they are totally out of it with
Yeah,
nothing to play.
have them in a position where it would actually be acceptable to not bother their arses at home.
That's
is desirable.
and because I think when Montpellier we if you remember back to that match you were at, John, it was a very tough match, but we battled it out and we got that bonus point
Oh yeah,
in the last
bloody
few
freezing.
minutes.
And I think we're a much better team now. I mean, I think if we'd gone to Montpellier now, I think we'd have done. I think it'd have been a lot
Well,
closer.
like those lads, if you consider that there's so many of them involved with the Irish team, they must be just brimful of confidence after the result. Like,
There is all that,
if
but
you've
there's also
beaten-
the fact that the Leinster coaching staff themselves are beginning to get their message
Yeah.
across in a more coherent and consistent manner because they've had the access to the players for longer. I just think that we're the side is better. I mean, yes, obviously there's all the confidence coming from beating the All Blacks and beating Australia and having beaten South Africa in the summer, but there's also the fact that they're playing with one another for longer.
Yeah.
And having the instruction they're getting longer. I think it would be it mightn't be very different, but no, I think it would be a very different. Well, I'm going to say it would be a very different result. I think over there if we went over there now.
Well, thankfully they have to come to us in
Yeah.
January, which hopefully will be a very different
Yeah.
result.
Yeah. Connacht host Wasps, which obviously would love to see Connacht reverse that.
I think it was Di Young said the thing about going over to Galway is it's the only time you get to play against the wind in both halves.
Yeah, well, it'd be very surprised if Connacht can find a line out somewhere out in the Lochatalia or something. They'll be able to deal with stuff. But
it was interesting
they
to
have
see.
McCartney back, and they're still not.
Yeah,
Firing.
it was interesting to
They're
see
still not firing in the line, yeah.
Mackin playing for
Yeah,
Wasps.
yeah. Mackin and Beale, the dream partnership.
The dream team.
Yeah, well, remember so many years ago when it was Mackin and Conway were going to be the new Darcy and O'Driscoll,
Yeah.
and there was nobody going to get in their way.
Mackin was the new Owen O'Malley.
Well, he wasn't, unfortunately.
Well, I remember we went away. Was it in the
great to
first,
see
first
these-
European game 3 years ago? We went away to Ospreys. Brendan Mackin played in the centre, played really, really well.
He had some great games for Leinster.
He
He just
got
didn't have enough of
seriously-
them.
He got serious hype coming out of school.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. It's all. I mean, it's huge hype about some guys getting. It doesn't help sometimes.
Well, he was kind of, look at the way Ringrose responded to the hype that he received coming out of school.
Yeah,
And he, I suppose,
he
maybe
delivered.
that little bit fortunate that there was, a clear path for him, whereas there was other guys standing.
That's why he wasn't as developed.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean,
Back
it's all
then.
very well for everybody to tell Brendan Mackin he's brilliant and he's super and he's great. But the thing is, the guy who's standing in front of him and stopping him getting into the team was even more super and even more brilliant and even more great because it was Brian O'Driscoll.
Yeah,
So he had, I mean, Gary Ringrose had a clear run of it.
yeah, and then you get in and you show somebody how good you are. It's
Yeah.
hard.
And then it doesn't become hype, it just becomes reportage.
Yeah, but like if you're kind of having to go to play in the B&I Cup, and that's 6 games, and the rest of them you're back playing for UCD, you're kind of out of the limelight a little bit, and might get a bit of a trudge, saying, "Geez, I thought I was going to be a professional rugby player, and I'm just playing in front of a few college mates."
It's
in
good to
UCD.
see that Brendan Mackin is still playing at
Yeah,
a high
yeah,
level for
it's-
a club
yeah,
like Wasps.
yeah.
Like that's a good.
That's a good club. Well, like the man said, I mean, there's only 12 inches between a pat on the back and a kick in the arse. So,
Good man.
And one other game will be Claremont against Ulster. That's going to be a very tough game
yeah,
for
la revanche.
Yeah, I can
I
see.
can see Ulster.
See Ulster going to the woodshed and not being the guy with the axe. Claremont don't do,
But
losing at home.
the thing is, if you just keep running at them, Claremont, there are holes in that Claremont team.
True.
Claremont are unlike some other French teams in that they win. They don't win by grinding you down. They win by going through you or around you. But they don't win through power. They win through pace and guile and intelligence and cleverness. But the other side of that is because they're not
They
built
leave
around.
holes.
They do leave holes. So the options are. I mean, Ulster played very well. Guys you'd want to play well, like McCluskey played well. Marshall was excellent.
But like their backline was great. It's,
Jackson.
The
Jackson,
issue is the pack.
That was the best game I've ever seen Paddy Jackson play. He was just brilliant against Claremont. He really, really was. And it was like he was there to guide Pienaar around the place. He was the man. He was definitely the man. So it'd be interesting if he takes that away, even if Ulster lose and get a losing bonus point out of it. I'd say they'd be happy enough,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and they're capable of doing that. Because you're always capable.
Also
Claremont
capable-
always give you a chance. That's the thing. I mean, we've seen it a number of times. They do give you a chance.
Yeah.
We lost to Claremont twice. And we were disappointed both times.
Well, they also Ulster also have it in them to beat Exeter away, and they definitely have it in them to beat Bordeaux
Well,
at home.
they've got their
So-
they've got their show back on the road a little bit now. You know, after that victory, like it's up to
Amazing
them.
that one game changes
Well, it
everything.
is, but I mean, like they threw away their match against Bordeaux. Like that match, that was there for the winning for them, and they ended up not even getting a losing bonus point out of it at the end. Like they have an opportunity now to turn around their season. Like they might be struggling in the Pro 12, but really it's all judged on how you perform in Europe.
Yep.
Well, hopefully they have all their good games this week and next week, and then when it comes to the 31st of January, they have
They've overindulged in mince puddings and mince pies and eggnog.
an
Excellent.
Ulster fries.
Yes. Well, we all like, now that's fairness. We all like to overindulge in an Ulster fry.
Well, anyway, boys, as ever, thanks very much, and thanks very much for watching. Cheers.